This is the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast, where we spread awareness for men's mental health and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. New episodes drop weekly. Welcome back to the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Steve. Tonight, we're going to go into an episode that starts with rebuilding through redemption. I'm here tonight with Gabe. Gabe is going to share his powerful testimony. He served in the United States Army and also served as a police officer. Gabe, thank you so much for joining the show tonight, man. I really appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate you having me on. It's an honor to be on your show. Just what you're doing with this podcast is incredible, man. So
Thank you so
honor's all
much.
mine.
Thank you, man. And, it's cool to, talking on the phone's one thing, and it's cool to be able to sit face to face and just have a conversation. We have similar stories, so I can really relate to you a lot. And I think tonight we're going to inspire a lot of people, man, especially with your testimony. And those of you watching right now, smash that bell at the bottom, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode, because a lot of our viewers are not subscribers, and new episodes drop every Wednesday and every Thursday. Gabe, let's kick it off, man. Let's start from the beginning, dude. Where'd you grow up, and can you kind of give us a glimpse of what your childhood was like?
Yeah, so born and raised Reno, Nevada, and grew up, fairly normal childhood, I guess. Like my parents separated when I was about 5. And I think as things went on, just having a single parent home, dad wasn't really in the picture much. Um, I started to get that like rebellious type uh, attitude in nature. Never did real great in school. I loved skateboarding. Like I was big into skateboarding. Did really well at it. So I was about like 12, 13. And then kind of what came with being a part of that crowd was the partying and the drug scene. Unfortunately, I'd started diving into that stuff a little early on, just here and there, smoking weed, drinking, smoking cigarettes at a pretty early age.
Is that like middle school age or high
Yeah,
school?
middle school. My dad was a heavy smoker, and then my grandmother was a heavy smoker, so I was always snaking cigarettes from them, like stealing a pack. They'd never know, or they just never say anything. But
Okay, gotcha.
yeah, so
So
I'd take.
being
Go
a
ahead,
being a skateboarder, man, what kind of tunes were you listening to?
man. All the punk rock stuff, Bad Religion,
Okay,
Pennywise,
nice.
and then I got into kind of the heavy metal stuff later on. Um, Pantera.
Yeah, man. There we
And then
go.
when I got in the army, that's when I started listening to like Lamb of God and some
Nice.
of that other stuff.
See,
Yeah.
dude, we got a lot in common, man. Pantera is the
Oh
greatest
yeah.
metal band of all
Oh
time
dude.
for all you
No
people
doubt.
watching this, man. And I'm here to. I mean, I love Pantera, dude. So
Wow.
that's awesome, bro. So you're rebelling. So I want to ask you this, man. In your home, did your family did you and your mom go to church? Was there kind of that kind of that dynamic where you felt like, man, I want to go against the grain and be a rebel, but also were you kind of forced into going to a church, or was that part of your life growing up?
Yeah, so we did do the Christian thing, going to church. I never really got engaged with it at all. My mom got remarried pretty early after her and my dad separated, and I was not a big fan of the new stepdad. And then I had 2 stepsisters, and he pushed us to go to church too. And I just never, you know, being a teenager, sitting there listening to some old guy up on stage talk about God, like, I just wanted to be out hanging out with my buddies, skateboarding and freaking doing that stuff. So
Yeah, no doubt, dude. What kind of church was it? Like, what denomination was
it
it?
was a Christian.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
pretty
Reno Christian
strict.
Fellowship. Yeah.
Okay, they weren't into Pennywise and Bad
No,
Religion.
no. Definitely not.
Yeah. No, I get it, dude. I mean, I grew up in a traditional church, and I was kind of I was kinda the same way. I can relate, man, because 'cause you're sitting there as a kid, you're just like, "God, man, how long is this thing gonna be?" And, "What are we talking?" And I only perked up when they talked about Satan. I thought that was cool, but the rest of it, I was kinda like, "Eh," you know? But, I totally get that, dude. So, that probably did that kind of, fuel more of that rebellion, not really digging your stepdad and then having to go to church, it kinda really make you wanna go the opposite direction?
Yeah, that was part of it for sure. Uh, like I had a my uncle, he's a pastor and he's very religious, and I admired him quite a bit, but it was very rare that I saw him. So I tried. It was like I was kind of on the fence about Christianity and like really having faith, but I was so caught up in the other things that I was doing with the friends and
Yeah.
partying and all that stuff. That was way more fun, right? So
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, man, like, especially growing up, and a lot of church leaders don't seem to understand that fact. They wanna try to make church cool, and, dude, you ain't competing with skateboarding and smoking and listening to metal. I mean,
no,
come on, let's be honest, man. I mean, especially as a young adult teenager, that's gonna be really hard to, I think, convince
but
those
yeah,
kids, like, "Oh, church is cool. Alright, what," like all that, but, so,
yeah, for
what about,
sure.
like, when you got into, like, high school, man? Did you play sports? Or obviously, you're an athletic dude. If you guys haven't checked out Gabe's Instagram, I mean, you're a beast in the gym, dude. So, did you
Yeah,
play
that started
sports?
later on in life for
Okay,
sure. I
okay.
was, pretty much skateboarding was my thing, and then really no sports. I don't know if it was the same when you were going to high school, but we had the skaters and then the jocks. So it was like you had to be one or the other.
Yeah.
And I was in the little skater crowd. So
Yeah, we
never really
had
got into the athletics until later.
okay. So, did you have any family that were, military? Was that part of your family history at all?
So I have a grandfather that was in the Navy
Okay.
and he was at Pearl Harbor when that went
Wow.
down.
No kidding.
But I don't think I actually met him until I was, shoot, probably in my late teens.
Okay,
So didn't really know his story until later on when I was in the army and he had passed and I came home for his funeral. But
okay.
yeah, he was about the only one.
So, was it kind of a situation, I mean, this is an old cliche in our generation, but go to war, go to jail, was it kinda one of those things? Is that how you ended up in the army?
Yeah. So I actually
Yeah.
decided to join the army while I was sitting in jail.
There we go,
Um,
alright, see, I was right, dude.
yeah. Yeah. It was, I got really bad. It was towards the end of high school. I never finished high school. I got my GED.
Okay,
I just had zero interest in it. So ended up going to like this, I don't know, it's an alternative school. Rarely ever went, but just got my GED. And then the rest of the time I was just hanging out with my buddies and smoking weed and partying and doing drugs. And one of my buddies, real good close friend of mine, he actually just got out of prison yesterday, but
okay.
he'd been in prison for 16 years.
Wow.
But him and we had known each other since we were shit in kindergarten. And both him and I really got deep into drugs and drinking and stealing. Like we were stealing money from people, we were stealing money from businesses, like breaking into back rooms, stealing cash bags, we were stealing purses,
Wow.
just stuff that like looking back today, man, I still feel awful like remembering taking cash out of someone's purse and just throwing their whole purse in the garbage can and just how much, man, pain and misery that person had to go through to like rebuild all that. I imagine I paid for it in karma like quite a bit
Do you
later
think that
on, but
do you think that was like a cry for attention because of your household and your family dynamic?
I think part of it was the peer pressure thing. Me and my buddy
Okay.
were just, you know, we were so wrapped up in the partying thing
Yeah.
and we wanted to, like, in order to fund our habit, we had to go out and steal money.
Right.
But I'm sure part of it too, it's just that attention I never got from mom, I guess, that I wanted, or dad. If you look deep into it, I'm sure that was probably something that was there too.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll
So
Okay, and all I know about Reno is from the TV show Reno 911, so so I don't know much about that area, man.
Yeah,
Is there much to do in Reno? I don't really.
Reno's the city itself kind of sucks, but like all around it, we've got Lake Tahoe, we've got tons of ski resorts, Mount
Nice,
Rose, Squaw Valley, like all these ski resorts. That was another thing I grew up doing was snowboarding.
nice.
Um, but yeah, the county itself is awesome. You go downtown, it's freaking garbage. It's, probably worse than Vegas as far as the homeless goes and the drug, all that stuff. It's a pretty dirty town. But
So
outside of that, it's awesome.
yeah, I was just curious because kind of like what you were doing, as in high school and kind of being in that crowd. If it was kind of like a rough, rough area, maybe it was more easy to kind of fall into that just because of the environment and stuff like that.
I think that was just kind of the attention that I was attracting, uh, or I was attracted to. I
Right.
was finding the guys that were involved in all the negative behavior. Because really, I mean, I think every time you go to, like, there's the good and then there's the bad. Like, if you're looking for the bad, you're going to find it.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Well, let me ask you this. I like to ask guests this a lot when we start talking about your upbringing in church and stuff. When you were going through this period of your life where you're listening, and let's just be 100% honest, dude. We're both metalheads. We know what most metal bands are about. Not really digging church. Was there ever like an allure to the dark side for you while you were kind of, for lack of better words, running with the devil? Were you kind of drawn to that darkness at all?
There was like, I was drawn to it, but always in the back of my head, like, I didn't want to be a part of it. Uh, I don't know if that makes sense. Like every time I did something like steal money from people or, hurt somebody, like at the time I was like, oh man, this is awesome. But then afterwards, it was always like that just regret and guilt that I felt.
Yeah. So you felt
So,
conflicted after it
oh
was
yeah,
over? Yeah.
yeah,
Did you
but
get in
nothing,
Oh, go
nothing
ahead, sir.
crazy. Like just, you know, drawn into doing like gnarly stuff. It was for sure just following the crowd and the peer pressure.
Yeah. Did you get in a lot of fights and stuff too?
I wasn't too bad with that. Maybe a couple fights in middle school, but really not much. Later on, like me and my buddy, we got in some pretty good ones, just going out to like the bars and stuff like that. And this was probably in our late teens, early 20s.
There's a big, motorcycle culture out that way, right?
Yeah, we got a few of the little patched
Mhm.
motorcycle clubs out here.
Yeah, that's what I thought, like, some of the OMGs out there running around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
never got involved with those dudes at all, but
okay.
chased them down a few times as a cop.
I
So
bet, yeah, I bet. Well, before we get to the law enforcement, can you walk us through that moment where you're sitting in jail and then, that's where you decide I'm gonna join the army? Like, what if you can share it, like, what led to being incarcerated and then, obviously going into the army?
yeah, so prior to that, I was 21 when I was sitting in jail and it happened, but prior to that, I was getting arrested all the time for, silly stuff, shoplifting, stealing beer. This time I had gotten arrested for I had a warrant in Virginia City for another previous drunken episode where I'd done a whole bunch of crazy shit and then just never went to court. So one night I'm driving super drunk, have a 40 in my lap and just listening to music. All my friends had already gone home, and I was one of those that, like, when I drank, man, I was drinking until all the booze was gone. So I'm driving, and I don't really remember too much of it, but I end up hitting the passenger side tires on the curb, and I blow out both tires, and I'm pretty far out of town. Try to call a few people to pick me up. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's like, "Fuck off. We're not going to pick you up. Like, figure it out."
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, all right. So I just sat and finished my beer and
Nice.
passed out in the car
Oh, dude.
and woke up to a firefighter knocking on my window, and then they called the cops. And fortunately, I didn't get charged with a DUI because I had the warrant from
Mm,
Virginia City. So they just took me up to Virginia City, where they put me in jail. I was there for it was like 3 or 4 days, and while I was sitting in there, man, like just hungover, feeling like garbage, hating the life that I was living, just trying to think of a way to get out of this lifestyle that I was living. Because, like I said, like it was always in the back of my head. It was like this thing that I didn't feel good about ever. And I wanted to change it. I just didn't know how. So while I'm sitting there, freaking army commercial comes on, and I'm like, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. So after that, I went and down to the recruiter. Of course, we had to jump through a lot of hoops because of my arrest record and all my stuff. But he was able to pull it off and join the army in 2002, July 2002.
okay. So, when you joined the army, like, what was your MOS? Like, what route did you go?
So when I was signing up, I was like, all right, I want to get in and have something that when I get out, it's going to be something I can use in the civilian world. Was a heavy diesel mechanic, but
Okay.
it was a Bradley mechanic,
Yeah.
63 Mike. Yeah. So I worked on Bradleys, Humvees, all that good stuff.
Nice. Where'd you go to basic?
Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Oh,
And then
yeah,
I did
okay. Alright.
AIT in the same place. So I was there for
Nice.
probably about 6 months.
I did an FTX at Fort Knox when I was in college.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they filmed Stripes there. Remember that movie?
Yep. Yep. Dude, I saw those barracks when I was down
Nice.
there. Yeah.
I don't know how many of our listeners even know what that movie is, but we're showing our
Oh, man.
age, but,
That's a good one, dude.
yeah. So how was basic, man? Like, going from kinda living this rebellious lifestyle and getting in trouble, and then you're sitting in jail, and then you decide to join the army, like, was that a hard transition? Now you're being told when to shit, shave, and shower. I mean, was that tough for you?
Initially, it was a huge like shock to the system, but
Bet.
I I actually loved it because I no longer had to think about what I was going to do for my day. Like everything was covered, and I did really well in it. I felt like I excelled in that like really structured environment. So it was good for me. It was 100% what I needed at that time.
I think a lot of people that are rebellious, they deep down crave like that structure and that discipline. They just don't know always how to find it. And I think the military is great for that, dude, just to kind of
Yeah,
teach. And I think like if you play sports, you get some of that, coming up through school and things. But definitely when you get in the military, I think it really helps a lot of people that need that structure.
yeah, and it could have just even been too like the lack of parents being involved.
Hmm.
Like I was kind of craving that structure at home, but never had it,
Right.
and then it was like finally something that we have in that environment.
Well, what about so you joined the army, man, and obviously you were partying a lot, doing drugs and drinking. Was that tough, dude? Like going basically you almost like I'm assuming stone cold sober once you get to basic. Like how did your body handle that? Like how did you react to that?
I mean, fortunately, we had this reception period. I want to say it was like probably almost 6 days, but reception we really didn't do anything at all except our TA-50s issued to us and kind of get like our uniform stuff. But most of the time, just laying in bed. And I was very fortunate because I felt like complete ass like
Bet. Yeah.
the entire 6 day. It probably went longer than that, but yeah, I didn't feel good at all because it was like I was running and gunning pretty hard with the booze, and primarily the alcohol was my
Hmm.
biggest downfall.
Yeah, I bet that was tough, man. Well, so you get through basic, you do really well. Where do you get stationed at?
So then I go to Fort Knox, or sorry, Fort uh, Carson, Colorado,
Okay, cool.
and I get there, and pretty much all of our vehicles and all of our stuff has already been on a boat and shipped over to. At that time, it was going to Turkey because they were going to
Mm,
try to go through Turkey to invade Iraq, but they ended up having to turn the boats around and go back down to Kuwait. So it was a very small detachment that was just left. So I think I spent about maybe a month and a half there in Fort Carson, and then off to Iraq. Yeah, it was like pretty immediate. And they were
That's
telling us in
fast.
basic and AIT, they were like, "You guys are going like as soon as you get out of here, don't be surprised."
Wow. What
So
was
yeah, it was
that? Go ahead. Sorry.
March 2003. I was sitting in Kuwait, and yeah, once they dropped bombs on Baghdad and did a lot of that stuff, and our unit was rolling across the border, and we just drove north through Iraq for probably a couple months.
How'd your mom feel about all this?
Oh, dude, it wrecked her. She told me later on that she ended up being on like Xanax
Mm,
and like all kinds of stuff. The idea of me going in the army, like she loved it because she knew I was getting away from all the people and the things that I was doing. But once the deployment happened, then she was just an absolute wreck.
God. That was fast too, man. I mean, you literally
Yeah.
like that was a drastic life change,
Yeah.
to go from rebellion, all of a sudden you're sitting sitting in a war zone. I mean, that's a huge
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, and I screwed up big time too, because once I got to Fort Carson, man, everybody was just drinking their ass off because we're going to war. Like, don't know if we're coming back or not. So I was like, all right, let's party. So
Yeah,
then, of course, like the first few days headed over to Kuwait, and you get there and it's hot as fuck. Like
yeah.
everybody feels like garbage, and, because you've just been drinking for 4 to 6 weeks. But
Well, how long was that deployment?
that one it was a little over a year. So
Wow.
initially, because they were like, it was going to be like Desert Storm. It'll be over in 6 months.
Yeah.
So 6 months in, they're like, hey guys, bad news. We're going to be here for at least another 6 months.
Damn.
And that just like destroyed morale, of course, for,
Yeah, I'm
the next
sure.
few weeks.
Wow.
But yeah, it's one of those things that like, it sucks at the time, but looking back, you're like, man, that was like, that was some good stuff. Like there are some awful things that happened during it, but man, you really see how blessed we are over here in the States with all the stuff that we have, like going over to a third world country and seeing just how shitty like people live. Like, of course, they probably don't know it, right? They've been living like
Yeah.
that their whole lives, but man, it just made me so much more grateful for what we have.
We have it really good here, man, and people lose sight of that far too often.
It's easy to, yeah,
Yeah.
we get that entitled mentality. A lot of folks have never seen anything but here, and they lose the sight of just how amazing it is here.
Yeah. For sure, man. Well, so you finished that deployment and then you come back. Did you at that point, did your perspective change about the military? Were you kind of looking at what you were going to do, after that, or did you say, "Hey, maybe I can stay in and do this for a long period of time?"
I was kind of thinking about doing the career thing, just coming off a year long deployment. And then we get back and we find out we've got about 10 months and then we're going to go back
Mm,
again. That was kind of like, oh, I like the job. I like the lifestyle, but I don't know if I want to keep going over this place all the
yeah,
time. So I was considering it, but I got back from Iraq, and then of course the culture, we all just start partying our asses off really
yeah,
hard. And I drank pretty hard for like probably about 3 months, and then things went really sideways, and I was able to get myself sober. Well, I actually went into a church because I was like struggling so bad, and I knew if I continued on the drinking path that I was on, that I was probably going to end up getting pretty screwed over in the military, like Article 15, or just getting in trouble.
yeah. I wanna open this door because, your story really resonates with me because alcohol was what I really struggle with. Um, it took me a lot of therapy and a lot of self-reflection and hitting rock bottom to understand why I drank the way I did and why I self-sabotage, and I wanna ask you this, man, like, when you were going through this and then you said you went to the church because you knew you needed to, address this and get some help, were there things in your mind that told you like, "Hey, I don't wanna deal with this"? Is there something, like, from my past that you were trying to numb or you were trying to, just move out of your, out of your head so you didn't have to think about, like, what do you think the cause was, man, for that alcohol abuse?
I think there was a lot going on there, especially just after coming back from a year-long deployment.
Mhm.
I think there was a little bit of PTSD going on there, but with the alcohol itself, like that was my coping mechanism for such a long time. And I believe that there was a lot of issues that I had with my dad. Like I said, he wasn't around a whole lot, but he was occasionally. And I really struggled with, so I went home on leave. They gave us that block leave right after we get back from Iraq. And I go home and it was like 30 days or something like that. And my dad wants to go out and have breakfast with me. And the first thing he asked me for is if he can borrow $1,500 because he's gambled away all his money. And he knows that I've been in Iraq and I've got money saved up. And that just like, I think that really like messed me up a lot more than I realized at the time. Um, because I wanted a different relationship with my dad and then to, get invited out to breakfast and then it's just, he's got an alternative reason. So then I really dove deep into the drinking after that.
You think, I know, like, a lot of men, especially that have father wounds, I think that we carry a lot of shame, and it's, one of those things where you just don't wanna deal with it, so you think it got even worse after you had that breakfast with your dad?
Yeah. Yeah. I was already dealing with a lot just coming back from Iraq, being over there for a year.
That's a long time, man.
You're like on that constant just adrenaline, hypervigilance. And then all of
Yeah,
a sudden, like it just changes overnight where things are just chill again. You're back in the States. The biggest thing you got to worry about is like the power turning off or freaking,
yeah.
like, so there was a lot I was struggling with there. And of course, being around all the other dudes, like everybody else is probably in the same boat that I'm in, just came back and haven't really processed a lot of the stuff that we saw over there and did. And the easiest thing to do is just go into the bottle.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think too, like, I mean, I think you're 45, right? Yeah, so we're basically the same age, and I think our generation, man, especially in the military, I think alcohol was kinda second nature, dude. I mean, it's a way
Oh
to
yeah.
bond too, as a way to hang out and get to know each other, and,
Yeah.
you definitely, you wanna numb and not think about all the bad stuff. Where, at that point in your life, dude, like, I know for me, like, I used to make fun of, like, therapy and all that shit. Did any of that ever, like, occur to you, like, "Hey, maybe I need to, like" before you went to the church, but, like, "Maybe I need to go talk to somebody about what I saw overseas and the stuff I've gone through in my life." Did any of that ever occur to you to go
No,
maybe try to get help?
never. Cause I had been to like prior to the military, like growing up, I had been to rehabs, I had seen therapists, and I just felt like I never got anything out of it. Of course, when I was going into 'em, like I really wasn't going into them to get help. Like I didn't give a shit at the time. It was like I was forced to go
Yeah,
to it,
yeah.
but it never really crossed my mind. For some reason, like God was always something that whenever I've been in my darkest places, that's when like fuck, I don't know what to do. Like let me ask God for help.
That's cool though, man. That's cool that you asked him and even thought to
Yeah,
ask him, you know? I mean,
yeah.
that's what he wants.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, then He does help me, and then I, give myself the credit and turn my back on God, and things spiral out of control again.
But he's always there, man. He's always waiting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's free will, dude. I mean, that's how he made us, you know? Um, I can relate to that too. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to, you know, we talked about this off air. Like it's hard to resist the flesh and not give in to temptation. And temptation it doesn't just mean women. Like some people hear that word and think about women and lust, but it can be booze, it can be pills, it can be money, it can be, you know, whatever. And it's hard to block that out, I think, and say, okay, I know that if I go back this way, that's not where I need to go. I need to go this way. But then it's like, but that way looks more fun. I've done that before. That's how I was, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
so let's go back to the period you go to the church. Who did you speak with? Like a clergy member or somebody, or how did that go?
Honestly, I didn't even talk to anybody. I
Okay,
just went in and sat. I don't even know what denomination this church was. It was a church that was on post,
cool.
and I just sat in for the service. And I don't know what it was. I prayed the entire time while I was in there, and I know what it was. It was God, like, all right, man, I'm going to help you out,
Yeah.
and He did. And then, I tried to stay on that track and read the Bible and do that stuff, but I've always struggled with church itself,
Yeah.
especially after being in Iraq. You see the stuff, the awful things that happen over there because of religion,
Hmm.
like how far they take the religion thing, because you got the Sunnis and the Shiites and all these different sects of Islam that are, or whatever it is, they're the Muslims, that are killing each other simply because they believe something different.
Hmm.
So at that time too, I was struggling with the church concept. So I figured I could just, go and sit in church one time and start reading my Bible, and it helped a lot. And then I dove into doing some more kind of adrenaline chasing stuff. Man, I bought a BMX and a dirt bike. So that took the place of my booze. I was going out and just doing gnarly stuff in the skate parks and out in the hills on the dirt bike.
So were you 100% sober at that point?
I was,
Nice, dude. Nice.
but I had to, like, one thing that I had to do at that time was remove myself from everybody that I associated drinking with.
Hmm.
And I just became a loner, really. Like, I was going to the skate park by myself, and then you meet some people there. Um, but I was kind of isolating, so I wasn't in the best headspace. I was
Yeah.
doing some positive activities, but still, like, I was very much alone. But I didn't have too much time to sit in that, because then we shot back overseas for our second deployment.
Were you, like, from your core group of who you were kinda partying with and hanging out with, and your buddies in the army, did they kinda turn their back on you once you got sober? Because you were like you just said, you kinda isolated. Did they look at you as kinda like, "Oh, I don't wanna be around Gabe because he's not partying with us." Did you experience that at all?
No, there were still guys that would come around, but for me, I don't know why I've always been like this, where I can just, like, cut people off and I don't give a shit. Like, I couldn't care less if they never call me again. So,
Yeah.
uh, I felt very, like, I was okay with it, but I still had guys coming around. I had one guy, this guy James Jones. This guy drank all the time, but super good dude. He'd come into my room drinking a beer and just check on me and see how I was doing, but no, never pressured me into drinking or anything.
Nice. We got a lot in common, dude. I'm very similar. I'm just hearing you
Yeah.
talk, and I'm like, "Damn, man, I was the same way." And I wanna hit on this real fast before we get back to you going back overseas, man, because I feel like more people should focus on that isolation piece because there's a lot of that, man. Like, when you really make that decision, I think to better yourself and to, refrain from let's use alcohol because we both have experience with that. You gotta get comfortable with yourself, man, and I think that doesn't get talked about enough because I think us as humans, we crave that, that togetherness, but this mental health road, sometimes it's a lonely place, man, and
Yeah,
you gotta just put your head down and push through it, and, I think that needs to be said more because it's not some rainbows and unicorn experience where, "Oh, love is love." No, dude, you're gonna be in a dark, dark place a lot of times on your own, and I get where you're saying, like, you're riding your bike and the dirt bike and kinda chasing the rush, but, dude, you still got your thoughts, you still got this new lifestyle when you remove alcohol, and I know for me, it was hard, man, because and I'm the same way. I cut them off and say, "You're dead to me," and get the hell away from me kinda thing, but at the end of the day, it's like when you're just by yourself, that's when all that stuff starts to kinda fester and creep in, and I think that needs to be brought up a lot more, man. Because
it is so easy to just spiral down into
yeah.
that depression. But, when your whole lifestyle is drinking and that's like all the people you know,
Mhm,
it's very difficult to when you don't have anybody like for me at the time in Fort Carson, I didn't have anybody there that I really knew of that was sober or following like a good path.
mhm.
So that was the only option. But yeah, there was a lot of very dark, depressing days in the barracks room, man. Just lights off, freaking laying in bed, watching, movies all day long, just depressed.
Did, did anyone, like, from your chain of command ever kinda notice anything different about you and say, "Man, you need to go talk to somebody," or anything like that?
Not in between the first and the second deployment. Yeah. Nobody really said anything at that time. I think it was just such a quick because like I said, it was like 9 or 10 months in between each deployment.
Yeah, that's fast.
Everybody was so focused on getting ready to go back again, right? So we're getting all the vehicles ready to go back again. We're getting prepared to go back again. People are trying to spend time with their families and do their thing. So there wasn't much focus on, the leadership down on the soldiers to really see, are these
Yeah,
guys doing okay? And at the time, like it wasn't really talked about much, like
right.
the post traumatic stress or the drinking. Like it was the norm, like the
Mhm.
drinking. That's what everybody did. Oh man, you're hungover again. Like you still got to do PT. Like
Yeah.
shit, man, you go do these PT runs 6 o'clock in the morning and it just smells like a bar. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
dudes like throwing up while they're jogging
Yeah.
and like, and that's just the culture. Like, all right,
It is, man. It is. Yeah, it is for sure, dude. Um, so when you're getting ready to pump out on that second, deployment, man, what was your headspace like? Because you're not drinking, you're kinda isolated. Were you dreading that, or was it more of an escape for you to kinda get away from, Carson and everything?
I was looking forward to it. Um, 'Cause, what's have you ever been on a deployment
No, man,
overseas?
I never
No?
deployed. No, never did.
So, the craziest thing about it, like, you're going over to the ship that is gonna be, nothing like what you're living right now, and people might be trying to kill you, but while you're over there, like, that's your sole focus. Like, you don't have to worry about mom or the girlfriend or, bills or any of that stuff, like, I just got Iraq and my buddies that I'm there with, my company, my squad, like that's all I'm focused on. And it's almost easier. So I was looking forward to that. Plus there's no alcohol. So like all my buddies that were drinking back at Fort Carson, they don't have that opportunity to drink there. So it's like now they're all my sober buddies.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I looked forward to it.
Did that kinda bring your, lift your spirits to where you didn't feel like you were just on your own then, I guess, since obviously they're not drinking because 'cause you're on deployment. So it probably helped your mental state some, huh?
But yeah, yeah, because then I'm not isolated. I'm uh, roomed up with another guy,
Mhm.
or yeah, towards the end of the second deployment, we're roomed up with like four guys.
Okay.
So you're never alone, which is good, but also sometimes fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you need your space.
yeah,
Yeah.
but there's always like that one guy that's always just super funny and happy all the time, like this guy Jones I was talking about, like
Mhm.
just kept the spirits up all the time. So
Nice. So, you get finished with that. What does life look like when you come back home from the second deployment?
so I jumped back into doing all the extreme sports stuff.
Okay.
But this time, like, I go even harder into it to where I'm doing just reckless stuff. And I have several different like accidents where ride my BMX in the skate park. I go over the handlebars, fracture my chin,
Damn.
dislocate my jaw, chip my front tooth. And due to that, I end up getting a bunch of pain meds. Then I'm riding my dirt bike and just riding it crazy, doing, trying to do the extreme, the X Games
Next
type
game.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I break my collarbone, dislocate my
Damn.
shoulder, end up having knee surgery. So all this is going on, and the military hospital is just feeding me pain meds like crazy. So I end up getting like pretty pretty hooked on pain meds, Percocet, and that I think combined with maybe some of the PTSD or some of my like you know mental health stuff that I had never addressed. Just really, I started a gnarly downward spiral to where I was angry all the time. Like at that time, I was an E5, so I had guys below me, and I was that asshole sergeant that nobody wanted to deal with because, and I was just in a shitty mood all the time because
Yeah.
it was either like I didn't have enough pain pills and I was starting to go through withdrawals, or even when you're on pain med. Well, for me, like when I'm on pain meds, like my moods are just like a roller coaster. So that's when some of the supervisors started noticing, and I ended up going to see a mental health person. And at that time, I was struggling a lot with finances too. Like I came back with the idea they were telling us already, like, hey, you guys are going to be going back to Iraq, probably within the next year. So I'm like, fuck it, man. I'm going to blow all this money that I
Yeah.
just saved up on all these cool toys and all this stuff, which put me in a real bad place financially. So I was struggling with that. And then one of my sergeants noticed like just my level of anger that I was having with people and my patience. I was just short fuse all the time. So I ended up going to see a therapist. And while I was there seeing the therapist, I told him how I had considered driving my car off the side of the road at one point. And I was like, as soon as I said that, all right, we're locking you up. You're going to the loony bin,
Damn.
taking your shoelaces and belt and all that stuff away, which it was good for me because it gave me some time to clean up off the pain meds. And
Were
so,
you were you drinking again when you had the pain pills or just you stayed off it? Okay.
yeah. So I want to say it was August. Yeah, it was August of 2004 that or yeah, August 2004, I stopped drinking. And that my second deployment was in 2005 to 2006. So I was weird. Like in my mind, I was telling myself, like, I'm not drinking. I'm good. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think it was really out there as much now. Like the information on these narcotic pain meds, just how gnarly they are. Like
Yeah.
it's pharmaceutical grade heroin, pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't really comprehend at the time the damage that I was doing to myself and just how like dependent I had become on these things.
Well, they were so new at that time too. I don't think anybody knew that, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, I mean, it was, I think around that same time, it was the Sackler family, they had Oxycontin and they were saying,
Mhm.
it's the safest thing out
Yeah.
there. And,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so they were feeding me that stuff too. And man, it's nasty.
So when you went through that detox period, did you were you pretty open-minded because they did kinda contain you? Were you open-minded at that point to therapy? Because I know you had kind of experienced it before.
I had at that time like a lot of probably embarrassment and shame because I was a sergeant, right?
Yeah.
Like I had so much pride in my job and the fact that I was like an E5 and I was the guy that was always shining my boots, pressing my uniform. PT was one of the things that I always strived to, get a 300. I don't know if you guys had the same scoring system, but
Similar, and Navy's yeah, it was a little different.
yeah. Yeah. You guys are like in a little kiddie pool swimming
Yeah,
around or what?
whatever, dude. With your hands and feet tied. Yeah. Yeah, the PT in the Army is way more intense than the Navy. The regular Navy, I'll say that. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, like I took a lot of pride in it. So when I went to this facility, man, like it wasn't bad when I was there, but when I got out, it was like my roommate who's an E6 comes and picks me up and, going back to my unit and everybody knows that, Sergeant Smith has gone to a mental health facility, or at least I thought that they all knew.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
in our head, we're like, man, all these fuckers are judging me. So
Mhm.
I really lost like a lot of confidence in myself and just had a lot of guilt and shame. And unfortunately dove back into the pills again to
Okay,
to cope with it. So then I ended up actually getting med boarded out 2008.
okay.
And
Was that due to, the pills, or was it due to all the injuries that you had?
it was the pills, the injuries, but they basically put so they didn't say anything about the pills.
Mm,
They just put it as like a PTSD, like you have problems from your deployments. This is
okay.
PTSD. And then yeah, the injuries. Like I had two knee surgeries at that point, and
Mhm.
collarbone and face stuff, and so
Was that
and I was pretty much done mentally
yeah.
because I was not clear headed. I was on those pills.
Did you feel defeated getting the med board, or were you relieved?
I probably went back still just feeling that like kind of shame that I didn't
Mhm.
finish out my second term that I had signed up for, and a lot of guilt, regret, and I think that followed me after I got out. Because, like I said, I took a lot of pride in it. I was really good at the job, and I
Mhm.
loved it. But I allowed my dark times and my addiction to destroy that.
So when you get out, where did you go from there?
So I end up coming back home to Reno, where I meet up with a girl that I had known prior, and found out fairly early on that she was getting prescribed massive amounts of pain pills. As far as I know, she was taking them as prescribed, but I started doing the whole like, poor me, my knee hurts, this
Mm.
hurts, and she started giving them to me, which eventually ended up um, me stealing them from her. Like we ended up getting married because the VA was no longer getting me pain pills.
Oh,
So she's like, well, we'll get married and put you on my insurance. So then you can go see this doctor that is giving me all these pain pills. So yeah, that's how I got married the first time.
okay.
I was probably very in love with her at the time too, but dude, when you're on those pills, like everything is just so numb. So I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, let's get married because I need to keep this habit going.
Well, I wanna go back a second because you initially, were admitted because you said you wanted to run the car off the road. Did you still have those thoughts when you got out of the Army? Because 'Cause you're carrying that shame and you're battling this addiction. Were you still battling that as well?
Yeah, there was the thoughts, but never anything that I acted on at that time. It was more just the ideations. When things would get really bad, that's the first thing that would cross my mind. Because so back in when I was in seventh grade, I had tried to take my own life. I tied a karate belt to the ceiling and I stood on my bed and I was like hanging off the side of the bed, and my sister opens the door and walks in and just starts like losing her mind and yelling for my mom. So ever since then, like it was always a thing that had been in my mind, the suicide.
How old was your sister at that time?
Man, I was in seventh grade. She's 2 years younger than me. So
Okay.
she was probably 10,
Wow.
10 or 11, something like that. Yeah. And then I go to school the next day and I've got like bruising all around my neck.
Yeah.
Mom's like, too bad you're going to school. So I have to go to school and like all these kids are like, whoa, dude, did you try to hang yourself?
No. Oh,
And I'm like,
man.
yeah,
Jeez, dude, I'm
yeah.
so sorry, man. Wow.
One of those things, man. Do and we learn from it,
Yeah.
or we don't and we keep doing shit.
Right, right. Well, so at that age, did your mom put you in therapy for that? Or did you talk to anybody about
Yeah.
that?
I
Okay.
was in therapies. I was going to inpatient rehabs. Like, man, I had done the whole string of stuff from the time I was probably 12 to 18, putting me on Prozac, all kinds
Mm,
of different meds to try to figure out what my problem was and throw a band aid on it.
yeah, yeah, man. So okay, let's go back to when you got married, you're on the pills. Where's God at this part in your life? Where is he there? Are you talking to him? Or are you kind of just so numb from the meds that you're just taking it day by day?
Yeah, I'm just in my own world. The only focus that I have is avoiding getting sick and having withdrawals from the pills. So how am I going to get my next fix? How am I going to have pills for tomorrow? Like that, man, living that kind of lifestyle was just absolutely horrible because the withdrawals from that stuff is just, man, it's awful. And then I was also, the VA had put me on this clonazepam, it's or Klonopin.
Yeah.
It's a benzo,
Mhm.
and I was taking it as prescribed. Um, but that was another thing that I found out fairly early on that your body and your brain become very dependent on those when you've been taking them for a little while. And the VA convinced me, they're like, no, no, you need to keep taking it. Cause I asked the doctor, man, this is pretty shitty not having these pills. Like, should I be on them? They're like, yeah, you don't worry about it. We won't let this happen again because I'd run out of
Gee.
pills. So I was on that stuff for probably 2 or 3 years. And then on top of that, the narcotic pain meds to where I was taking like 30 or 40 pills a day and just, man, living the worst life. We had so she had a son that I ended up adopting later on. Um, but I feel so bad for the things that this kid had to witness because it was one of the darkest times of my life. And part of it was, you know, it was 100% all my own doing, like getting out of the military and that. Like I was kind of like that high school quarterback mentality where I was like, I went to Iraq, like I did all this cool stuff and I just lived in that. That's like what I would tell everybody.
Yeah.
And then also like poor me, like I did all this stuff in Iraq. Like I just had this victim mentality.
Well, that was your identity,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And
it's hard, man. It's hard when that identity's gone, and then you have
it
to
is,
rebuild
especially
it.
if, we're trying to live so deep in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So did you have this rock bottom moment at this point in your life, and you've got all these pills, and you don't have the structure of the military or that identity anymore? So did you have one of those moments where things just kinda all came together, and then you had to make a change?
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember this. I was just thinking about this like a couple weeks ago, but I remember being so just in such a bad place. I was having withdrawals from the pain meds, and I was upstairs in my bedroom, and I was taking my wife's Xanax to try to dull the pain and the sickness from the withdrawals. And I just remember getting on my knees and praying, like, please, like, get me out of this. Like, I promise I will never do this stuff again if you get me out of this. And I'm just now realizing that, like, God did it for me. It just was in one of the craziest ways ever to do it. So after that day, this is probably like maybe a week later, the wife and I are just fighting like crazy. I decide this is the end of it. I get a gallon of vodka. I go rent a motel room, take all my pills with me, and I just start drinking and take all my pills. Um, I don't remember how I did it or even doing it, but I called my mom from my cell phone and somehow they were able to figure out where I was at. Um, and I just remember like a glimpse of laying on the motel room floor. And I think they were like giving me a sternum rub. And I probably kind of snapped out of it a little bit. And I just remember seeing like paramedics over me and talking. And then it goes black from there. And next, I wake up in the hospital like 2 or 3 days later, someone sticking a syringe in my side. Wake up in the hospital, and it takes me a minute to like, well, it takes me a little while to figure out like what the hell happened, but uh, it was for sure one of those eye-opening holy fuck moments that
Yeah.
it was almost just over.
Wow.
And my mom came in to visit me, and my wife didn't. I think she was very upset at me at the time. But once I get stabilized enough, they transfer me over to the VA where I go to the fifth floor, which is like the psych ward, to basically detox off of all these pills that I was on. And I was there for probably 5 or 6 days and just the absolute worst 5 or 6 days of my life. Can't sleep, just sweating like crazy, throwing up. Like it is the worst feeling ever. Yes. But it was one of those that like it was enough to where I was like, I'm done. I cannot do this anymore. And from that time forward, been clean and sober since. Um, and I didn't think about it, like I said, until recently that God did that for me. Like I prayed, I asked him for help, you know, probably wasn't the help that I was expecting, but that's how he helped me.
He
But
works in
unfortunately,
mysterious ways sometimes.
oh yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I gave myself the credit and I didn't even think about it until recently that like, man, he was there the whole time. He was he was watching over me. So
Yeah. Well, he loves you, brother. That's why. And a lot of us are hard headed and stubborn. And sometimes I think he
oh
just has
yeah,
to, slap the crap out of us and say, all right, you're going to learn it the hard way, but it's not going to be easy, but you're going to learn. And, man, I want to tell you this, just listening to you talk, man. I mean, God put you here for a reason. You got a purpose. And just that story alone right there shows the power of God and how good he is. And that
yeah.
all of us have a purpose here regardless of what our past is, man. And you're a strong individual, dude. Like you are a strong individual to come through just all of it. Even when you were talking when you were in 7th grade, man, to be where you are today. I mean, that is power, brother.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think at the time, like I didn't know any different. This is just the life struggles that I was going through. I'm just so fortunate and grateful and thankful that that day in 2010 that I did not that I didn't die. Because, like you said, I really feel like there is a purpose that I'm still here.
There yeah, there is a purpose, and so you stayed sober, you stayed clean, so how did you where did the law enforcement come into play? Like, how did you get into, that career field? What drew you to law enforcement?
So I tried a bunch of different jobs once I had like sobered up. Um, Everything from tattoo work, like I'd been a tattoo artist for a little
No
bit.
kidding. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it kind of started like when I got back from my first deployment in Iraq, ordered a tattoo kit, and everybody's 18, 19 years old. They're like, "Fuck yeah, dude, tattoo me." I'm like, "All right,
That's
I don't know what I'm
awesome.
doing,"
That's
but
awesome, man.
there's a lot of shitty tattoos running around
That's
there.
hilarious.
But yeah, I got pretty decent at it, and I didn't enjoy sitting on my ass for 12 hours a day. I really liked the more physical stuff. So then I got into doing security. I was doing security at a casino, and I really enjoyed kind of that similar camaraderie from the military.
Mhm,
I really felt comfortable with being able to confront people, go hands on with people. Like I just felt like it was something that I was good at. So then I
yeah.
started applying to police departments, and I applied for almost 5 years before applied and tested. Um, One thing that I didn't mention was back when I was 17, that money that I was stealing, I actually got hit with a felony
Wow.
when I was a juvenile. So that was another hurdle, like getting into the law enforcement world that made it a little bit more difficult. But eventually, in 2016, I got hired on by the department here.
How
So
was how was that going from, the military to law enforcement? Was that a hard transition for you? I know you worked hard to get into law enforcement. Obviously, it took, 5 years to do it, but was that a weird adjustment going from, the structure of the army into the law enforcement world?
dude, I loved it. Like the academy, it was structured again. So it was like I felt like that same structure again. We were doing pressing our pants and doing the formations and some of the drill and ceremony stuff. And I was like, I know how to do this stuff. Like I felt good with it. I did not like the studying part, like learning all the laws and
Yeah.
memorizing that garbage. But um, other than that, like I loved it. And then as soon as I got out on my own and started patrol, man, I fell in love with finding stolen cars, drugs, guns. Like I was working graveyard and just chasing that stuff was, man, 10 hours straight. I was just chasing, trying to find those bad guys, and I loved it.
Well, and I mean, I would think too with your life experience and then going into law enforcement, you're probably really good at it because you kinda could think with that mindset, like, how some of those dudes are, you know? You're not the
Yeah, that
average
was
dipshit showing up to be a cop, like, I mean, I was a cop too, so I can say that, but, there's some
oh,
interesting
yeah.
cats that go into that world, dude, but,
Well, yeah,
yeah, but but,
100%, man. But I was 36 years old, right? So I'd already had all
yeah.
this life experience compared to some of the 21-year-olds that
Right,
get
yeah.
into it. But yeah, and I had, a lot more compassion for the people that I could tell were, kind of in the same spot that I was in, where
Mhm.
things were just so bad and they didn't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
And those were some of, I would say that was even better than finding the stolen cars and the drugs, was having those talks with people to, you know, tell them that it's possible, telling them a little bit of my story to be like, hey man, it is totally possible for you to change your life. Like you just have to want to do it. And
Mhm.
some of those car rides, like having a guy in the back and driving him up to jail, just being able to have those talks with guys. And then when I'm, handing them off to the deputies and them saying thank you, like that more than anything was more fulfilling than finding the drugs and the stolen cars and all that stuff.
Was your anger kinda controlled once you got into law enforcement? Did you struggle with that still at all?
I did really good with it the first few years.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I didn't really have issues. The anger was more like outside of work.
Mm,
So working graveyard, I was kind of uh, older, so trying to flip my schedule on my days off back to regular days. Like I had a girlfriend and she had some kids, and I was not a nice guy in my days off because I was just sleep deprived. And
yeah. Midnights is hard, dude. I mean, that's a
yeah,
brutal schedule, man. Did you guys run like 10-hour shifts or how'd you guys work
yeah,
it?
yeah, 410s.
Okay. We did 12s. I hated it.
Oh yeah, I bet those are rough,
Six,
especially when you
six.
get like the end of the shift call and you get
Oh,
stuck for like a 14 or 16 hours.
yeah. Or you got court the next day and you're going
Oh
straight into
yeah,
court. Yeah. We worked 6P to 6A and it was,
it's
I
an
never
ass
got
kicker.
used to it, man. When I first got hired, it was 410s and then it went to 12s and I just never could get used to it. I hated it. But,
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
understand that.
love the work, graveyard, the work
Yeah.
that you would get because like everybody that's out and about, right? They're like pretty much all up to no good.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
so easy to find stuff.
Right. Right. Well, it's cool that you also tied in that human connection because so many people don't understand that with law enforcement. They kind of see cops as robots and they're just this paramilitary force that's out to ruin people's day. So it's cool you tied in that human side to it, man. I think a lot of people need to hear that.
Yeah, that was, like I said, the most fulfilling part of it for me. Like going to the calls where, someone maybe was suicidal, but they didn't want to admit it to us because, they knew that they'd go on a legal hold or whatever.
Mhm.
But being able to just sit and have those like one-to-one conversations with people and tell them that, I've been there, and man, the connection that you have, like, it's pretty amazing. Like that was one of the things like I felt like was my purpose was to be
Yeah.
able, you know, there was a few people that I saw like later on that straightened things up and, you know, gave me the thanks and for the talk and all that stuff. So it made it all worth it.
Nice. Where was once you got into law enforcement, did your perspective on faith shift at all?
I was I was struggling with it because of the things that I was seeing.
Mhm.
Some of the calls that we go to where we see the kids stuff where, you know, the deaths, the child deaths, the things that are just the worst, and being a part of everybody's worst day. Like you start to see the negative like all the time. And I started to get in that mindset of like, how can there be this great and powerful God if all this awful stuff is happening all the time? Because man, for 40, 50, 60 hours a week, this is all I'm seeing because I'm on the SWAT team at the time. So I'm on call 24/7 and getting called in all the time to, some of that gnarly stuff and then all the stuff you see on patrol. So yeah, after about year 5, man, I really started to get like, I would say I turned my back on God a little bit. Not a little bit, I did. And I struggled with it a lot because I felt it still pulling like that I needed to have that faith, but I just
Mhm.
refused.
What
Just
about
stubborn.
well, and I mean, I can understand that, man. I think that happens to the best of us. But what about your mental health? Because obviously, being a cop, like you just said, man, you're seeing the worst of the worst, and then the kids stuff. I mean, obviously, there's that plays a lot on your mental well being, and coming from everything that you went through, especially when you kind of had your rock bottom moment. Did law enforcement did that how'd that play on your mental health, dude? Like how did that go for you?
So at the time, I thought I had everything like managed, like things were going good because I was working so much and I felt good in the job.
Mhm.
I would blame everybody else outside of the job, my girlfriend, my parents, or whatever, for whatever arguments I might be having or my patience, my tolerance, um, I would blame them for it. But I think in reality, like when I was getting off the work week, like I wasn't processing any of the stuff that I had just seen or done or dealt with. And it started coming out on the ones that I loved. And I didn't realize it until too late, unfortunately.
About within the department, were there any resources? Did anyone talk about mental health or anything like that?
Our department is it's way behind the curve when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, so they had a therapist, an embedded therapist, but he had been like he switched from being a cop and like went straight to being our therapist, which was a really weird deal.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know the guy, but you know how police departments are, man. It's like high school, like the
Yeah,
drama.
it's high school with guns.
Everybody's talking shit,
Yeah,
and everybody talked badly about this guy, so nobody would want to go to talk to him. And then
yeah,
also at the same time, it's like this, well, I don't want to go tell this guy because he knows everybody else that I work with, and he's just going to say it to everybody else, like
yeah.
tell him all of my problems. Um, and then they had the peer support team, but man, it was pretty rare that any of that stuff was ever coming up or even being talked about. There might be like a 5 or 10 minute presentation we would have to do like as part of our in-service training of like, hey, don't drink too much. Make sure you're, taking care of your body and, if you're suicidal, say something. But it was just, you know, a very small thing. And the department has gotten better as of recently, but
That's good.
I think they still have a long way to go.
Were you more but even still, were you still more self-aware because of what you'd experienced before you became a cop for your own mental health? No, I get the not wanting to share it within the department with the therapist because he knows everybody, but you as Gabe, did you kinda have more, you think, self-awareness because of what you'd overcome?
So I was seeing a therapist regularly, and you would think that I would be more self aware of it. Um, but it's so easy to get sucked into that job to
Mhm.
where it becomes the main priority. And then we start neglecting ourselves. Like I thought I was good because I'm going to the gym and working out and going to the range and doing all this stuff. But really, I was just using it to avoid like a lot of the tough things that hadn't processed, tough things that I had seen and impacted me. But I chose to just compartmentalize and put away.
How did you stay sober, man? Like, how did you that's probably a weird question, but, like, being a cop, overcoming all of that stuff, you had a near death experience, you beat it, well, more than one, but, your rock bottom moment, how did you keep from slipping back into that to just process, and numb all the stuff you were seeing on shift?
For me, being on the job every day was a
Okay.
reminder, why I didn't drink. And what is it? It's probably like 95% of the calls that we go to are alcohol or
Yeah,
drug related.
yeah.
So for me, it was always just like, don't want to do that because I know that I'm going to be right there. And that's what I would tell the guys that I would work with too. Like the SWAT team, we'd have a barbecue or whatever, and they'd be like, "Yeah, why don't you have a beer?" I'd be like, "Nah, man. If I have a beer, like, by the end of the night, I'll be running around naked in the hills. Cops are going to be chasing me, so I just don't even want to do it." Like I'm
Did you
like
get
Frank the Tank from
Yeah,
what's
that's
that?
funny. Old school old school? That's
Yeah,
funny. Did,
go run naked through the quad.
yeah. How were you treated, being the sober guy? Were you accepted or were you kinda seen as the outcast
Yeah,
because
no
of that?
one really gave me shit,
Okay.
but I don't think I associated with people as much. So like some of the patrol teams that I was on, they would go after shift and have their after shift beers and kind of
Mhm.
hang out as a team, and I just wasn't a part of it.
Okay.
So I probably didn't have like the same bond or camaraderie with the guys that the other guys did because
Yeah.
they're more a part of the social events,
Right.
and I knew I couldn't be a part of it.
Well, and I think too, man, I think times have probably changed now. I mean, I've been out of law enforcement for a long time, but, um I think like they had a saying when I was working, like never drink in the town you work in. Well, I didn't listen to that at all. But but I think especially being in your 30s, is probably a little bit you've obviously got more maturity and wisdom than some of the younger guys, so that kind of makes sense. But so did you enjoy law enforcement more than the army, or did you enjoy the
Oh,
military more?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say law enforcement, dude, I just loved it. Probably more because, like, once I went to work, I was, like, in my patrol car. That was, like, my office,
Mhm.
and it was, like, my space, right?
Mhm.
I didn't have to sit with other people all day long.
Yeah.
Like, once I left a call, I could go and do my own thing,
Right.
and then just, like, being a part of the SWAT team, like, absolutely love that. I was on the sniper team, and
Nice.
that was one of the most fun things, that I did, just learning stuff all the time. So, yeah, it was way better than military, I think.
That makes sense, yeah, and that is a good point with being in a patrol car because you do have a lot more, freedom, and you're kinda doing your own thing, especially in working midnights. If it's not crazy, you can kinda just go chill and not have somebody up your ass,
Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
what you're doing. That makes
yeah.
sense.
So, and on days that you didn't feel like doing anything, right, you just
Yeah,
go find a spot and kinda hang out and
yeah.
decompress.
Yeah, that's a good point, that's a good point. So, obviously, you've been in law enforcement for a while, do you feel like now with your testimony and your story, um, what do you see as a way to help other maybe cops that are listening to this, man, especially when it comes to mental health? Because I know the law enforcement side of mental health is a little different than the military side. Like, what do you see your mission with that?
Well, kinda go back to December of 2024. I had a very close friend of mine, Patrick, who was a medic for our SWAT team, that he took his own life, and I was on shift while this happened, and that impacted me. Like, I'd had buddies that had taken their own lives from the military, just kind of like hear it through the grapevine or find out about it, another military buddy calling me, and those sucked. But for some reason, man, this one, like, he was such a good dude and so good at his job, just very passionate about uh, being a paramedic. He was going to nursing school. Uh, he was a guy that would come out to our SWAT schools all the time and help teach the SWAT schools. Same with the sniper schools, like, just super good dude. And I never really saw how much he was struggling with, or I didn't really at the time like notice how much he was struggling. And he had been doing the job for quite a while longer than I had. And he would tell some of the stories, man, of some of the like horrific scenes that he had seen. And it didn't really click until a few months after he took his own life that like the floodgates on my own shit that I had been compartmentalizing, just like floodgates opened, man, and all this stuff started coming back out. And in law enforcement, I think a lot of us have that concept that, like, this is part of the job. Like, this is what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to see. Just compartmentalize it, especially when you're in the teams like SWAT and all that. It's that suck it up and drive on mentality. And it works for a while until it doesn't.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, it comes out in different ways, whether it's the alcohol or domestic violence at home or suicide. Um, so it's a learning to disconnect from the job when you're off and being able to like really process and talk to people about the things that you've seen and dealt with, because it's not normal, the stuff that we see on a daily basis. The amount of things that we witness are just, man, it takes a toll.
Yeah, it does.
And especially in law enforcement, like, you do a 10-hour shift and then you just are supposed to shut that off and go home and pretend like none of the stuff that we just saw at work, happened.
Mhm.
Um, but a lot of guys don't know how to turn that off or properly switch over to, taking that cop hat off and being the husband or the father. Uh, and I wish I would have known at the time. Kind of like, have you heard DJ Shipley, how he talks about dials and switches?
Mhm.
Like, had I heard that earlier on and known to do those things, like when I get off shift, to turn the radio off while I'm driving home, like the, the police radio,
Mhm.
turn on something relaxing, calm to like where you're resetting yourself on your way home. So when you pull in that driveway and you walk in the door, like at least you have somewhat like decompressed from all the things that you've seen. But for me, man, I had a take home ride. I would listen to the radio the entire way home, thinking like maybe there's going to be a SWAT call.
Mm.
Um, I wouldn't shut it off at all.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what the original question was, but
Well, really, well, first of all, I want to say I'm really sorry to hear about your friend, man. And I think what my question was is now that you're more self-aware, you're working on your mental health, like what is your vision in law enforcement to help other officers? Because I think it's still, especially for men, it's still a I don't want to say taboo subject because there's more awareness about it, but I think there's still kind of that stigma, like you mentioned within SWAT, like suck it up, drive on, don't sit in it. You as Gabe, remove the badge. You as a man that's been through hell, that has rebuilt your life, that has overcome these almost impossible odds, and you're still here. Where do you sit, man, as far as helping others in that profession?
I want to be able to normalize talking about this stuff. I want to normalize it, like being okay to have the feelings that we have from the things that we see and do. And one part is by, being on this platform and talking about all the hard shit, man, like the stuff that nobody wants to talk about. Um, and then the other side of it is, and just promoting, like with my company, man, I have such a great team of people. Um, Myself and my business partner, Amanda, like we're so aligned on the mental health thing. She's still currently a cop. Um, and she sees all the negative impacts of guys compartmentalizing stuff and not talking about things. And we've kind of formed this where we do group workouts on the weekend. And so we'll go and do a workout with, invite all these dudes out, kind of do like this trauma bonding where you just do this super hard workout. And then at the end, like we try to talk about something that just to get these guys to shed their armor and be okay with talking about the hard shit, man. Because there are things that, man, I still struggle with that I saw on the job that are hard to talk about, but we have to talk about them because the more that we do, the easier it becomes to like process those things. And you're not necessarily okay with it, but you've somewhat shedded a little bit of that, just that trauma and that negative feeling that you had from the call.
Mhm.
Because a lot of us, we don't talk to anybody about the call, and then we start second guessing how we handled it. And then we become our own worst enemy where we're beating ourselves up. Not only did we see this horrible thing, but then we second guess how we responded to it. And we never talked to anybody about it to get that, you know, that outsider view on it because nobody wants to talk about it. So I really want to be able to just normalize talking about this shit like it's okay.
Yeah.
A big part of it is getting these guys after like we have the critical incidents. I'm sure you guys probably had it like you do a little debrief after a critical incident where, you talk about what went wrong, what went right, what you could have done better. Throwing in there like, is everybody okay?
Mhm.
But I think it's scary for a lot of people to talk about that stuff because they immediately think that their job is going to be impacted or
Yeah,
people are going to start judging them.
you're a target.
Yeah. Which is, man, the worst possible uh, culture we can have because, and dude, it's so hard to try to remove that because so many people are in that mindset of they just don't want to share it because they don't want to be that guy that's judged
Yeah.
because it's still seen as weakness for some reason, right? But how much more courage does it take to go get help if you're struggling, to talk about the things if it's fucking you up?
Yeah.
Like that takes so much more courage and strength than just hiding it and pretending like everything is okay.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because I know something. I've been out of law enforcement for a long time. I left the job in 2010, and I know something. We're both 80s kids. My version of what I thought a real man was for most of my life was very skewed. And for everybody watching and listening right now, Gabe, you just hit the nail on the head. It takes more courage to ask for help, and a real man is not going to self sabotage because they're too afraid to talk about a bad call or childhood trauma or whatever it may be. A real man's going to go and get help. And I used to think a real man was the guy that was pissed off all the time, that was the baddest dude in the room because he had done whatever schools, whatever job, but didn't talk about his emotions because you had to be strong. But now I've learned after my own experiences that a real man is someone that can be kind, loving, and gentle, but rip your face off when the time calls for it, but to able to be able to process stuff and not internalize it because it's gonna go somewhere. And 9 times out of 10, if you're not asking for help, it's gonna probably go in a direction that's gonna self-sabotage or it's gonna hurt innocent people. And I've done a lot of collateral damage because of my own shit because I didn't wanna work on it, and it's impacted a lot of innocent people because I just refused to. My pride, my shame was stronger than my will to go and actually say, maybe I need to go talk about this. Maybe I need to go figure out why I do what I do and understand it. So I'm glad you brought that
Yeah.
up because it does need to be normalized. And something else too that for those that are watching right now, just because you leave law enforcement, it doesn't mean those calls go away. I mean,
Oh,
they stay with you and you've got to deal with it even if you've been out of the job for a while. I mean, I don't know how it is for you, dude, but like I live in the town that I worked in and there's still parts of town. Dude, I haven't been a cop in forever I still remember stuff. Like driving through a certain
yeah.
area. I'm like, oh, I remember that street or like a bad call or a bad car. I live right down the street from a bad car wreck that I worked, 15 years ago. And every once in a while I'll drive to the intersection, I'll think about it. It's weird, man.
Yeah.
It's like ghosts, like having a ghost that just you gotta and journaling, I know for me has helped, therapy, talking about stuff, but, I think more especially men need to hear that it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to talk about it, and, it needs to be more normalized instead of just that '80s tough guy mentality where you just go to the bar and drink and don't talk about it, just push it down because that is the worst possible thing you can do.
Because it comes out one way or another,
Yes,
right?
it
Like
does. Yes,
you
it
look at
does.
how many dudes get out of law enforcement, like they finish, a 20, 25-year career and then just fall apart afterwards because they never dealt with any of this stuff. And, the average lifespan after you do a career in law enforcement is like, I don't know, I think it's between 5 and 10 years.
It's
Like that's
short.
insane.
Yeah, it is.
When Mike Morgan, like his story,
Yeah,
man, 30 years he
yeah,
did the job and never really felt any issues at the time. But then he gets out and he stops doing the job. And it's like everything just falls apart
yeah.
because now he doesn't have that job anymore to like be able to focus all of that energy. And now everything has been compartmentalizing is, it's coming out.
Coming out, yeah. I love that dude, man. Mike is awesome.
Oh, dude,
He's
he's
awesome.
such a good
He
dude.
is, man. I love that
Oh,
guy.
yeah. Yeah, he's rad.
Well, let's go into faith real quick, man. So, you know, I've had conversations and where like as far as like today with your and I want you to plug your company real quick for those that are listening on Spotify that can't see your t-shirt. What's the name of your company?
It's a precision resilience training group. Yeah. And then we've
So
got our nonprofit that we're going to be rolling out here. It's the Resilient Lives Foundation. So
nice.
that coming out here soon too.
Awesome, man. What's so with the nonprofit, what's the mission statement? Like what are you guys working
So
with?
it's going to be primarily first responders and veterans. We want to basically have a holistic approach to treating not only just the PTSD, but kind of the identity issues that a lot of us have with the job or getting out of the military. But we utilize fitness. Same thing, like I was talking about with those group workouts,
Mhm.
having these guys do workouts together. And then we've already got like an amazing team put together. We've got a clinical director that we're going to
Nice.
have therapists there to be able to talk with folks. But after the workouts, they sit down and we talk about a subject or just talk about like what people are dealing with.
Mhm.
Because I think after you do those workouts, like it's easier to be able to kind of shed that armor a little bit and talk about stuff that you typically wouldn't because you just knocked out this hard workout with a dude
Yeah.
or this group of people. But we want to create a community with it. So it's going to be everything from the fitness. We're going to implement mixed martial arts into it. It's going to have the cold plunge, the sauna, like everything to build a resilient body, but also build a resilient mind and be able to help veterans get some business schooling in, like some
Nice.
business education. So learning how to do entrepreneurship, that kind of stuff, and just have resources for whatever that they want to start focusing on so they can kind of get out of that headspace of like, I was in the military and that's what I did. Like I said, wearing that high school football jacket where you're 20 years afterwards still talking about that pass that you caught or whatever.
Right, right. That's awesome about the business piece of that, man. You don't hear a lot of organizations doing that. That's really cool that you guys are gonna focus on that too. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very much in the infancy right now, but like I said, I have a really good team of people that we're moving and grooving and we're putting it together.
Let's go back to Jesus. So,
Yeah.
all right, so this stage in your life, you're obviously a servant, you're helping people, you're on this mission with mental health, with the physical, the spiritual, and where where do you see where's your faith right now, man? Like where how do you see the world? Because you mentioned this earlier, you struggled with God because of all the darkness and all the evil in the world. Like where are you at right now?
So I'm very like new back into my faith, but I'll tell you, like last year, after my friend Patrick took his own life, like the next 9 months was probably the worst 9 months of my life. Like I separated from my wife, um, close friend, his mom died. It's the friend that just got out of prison. Then my stepmom passes away. Then another coworker at the police department takes his own life. After that, my dad dies, and then my dog died.
Damn,
And
dude.
it was like I said, just one thing after another. And I was spiraling pretty hard. And I knew that if I didn't, like, I've tried all these other things in my life. And I was like, you know what? I need to, like, I know that God is there for me, especially when I started thinking about how I had prayed before I had tried to take my own life and survived. I was like, that was God, man.
Yeah.
And I really feel like he's given me this mission to help first responders and veterans, just the community in general. And mental health is such a huge thing now. Like I'm sure you saw it when you're on the job. Like if it's not alcohol that's the problem, it's mental health issues that's the
Yeah.
problem. And so, man, every day I'm just I'm in the Bible. like I said, I'm very new back into it, but it's crazy how things are aligning. Like you and I meeting and having this, just the different people and connections that are coming out of the woodwork to help build this organization that I'm putting together, that we're putting together, and Precision Resilience and the Resilient Lives Foundation. It's crazy. There's no other way to explain it. Like that God has a plan for this. And I was struggling for a long time this last few weeks, really. Like, am I supposed to leave policing, or am I supposed to, or stay in policing, or am I supposed to build, Precision Resilience and the Resilient Lives Foundation? And I just prayed and prayed. And it's like all these things just keep aligning that are showing me, like, all right, your time is done in law enforcement. Now it's time to go this direction. And I really feel like I finally have found that purpose that I'm here. Like I had to go through all of these adversities and these struggles, to, like, build who I am today. Like God had a plan. Like he's like, you're gonna go through all this rough shit, but there's a purpose. There is a purpose to it. And you don't see it at the time. But now looking back, I'm like, all right, I know why I went through all those tough times, because he had a plan.
Yeah. And it's weird too because, I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but I know for me, it made me grateful for all the trials because I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I hadn't gone through that, and I would never have I turned my back on God too, man, and, I never woulda came back to him if I hadn't have, had my rock bottom 2 big rock bottom moments, but, when I decided to get sober, and I wouldn't be sober if it wasn't for God. There's no way, man. There's no way. And I say this sometimes on the show, and I'm gonna say it again. I really don't think you can have mental health without Jesus. I think he has gotta be the foundation, and it's not always easy to put him first in everything, but if you've got him as your foundation and put him in every single thing you do, you look at life a lot different, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You're gonna see it through a different lens, and it doesn't mean it's always easy. You're still gonna go through trials, but I think what's cool, dude, about, like, us meeting and then guys like Mike and, some of the other guys that we know and that have in common the friendships, God is picking these men with these backgrounds that are not perfect, that are not the traditional maybe church background, but we're team Jesus, man. We just had a unique path to get back to him, but it shows those other people out there that he loves all of us and that everyone's worthy of him. You don't have to belong to a certain church or have a certain, background. Anybody can come to him. And that's what I want people to take away from, this podcast, not just this episode, but the whole platform is he's there for all of us, not just a certain, like he's not just there for the Baptists or for the whoever, like he's there for everybody.
Oh yeah. 100%, man. Even guys like us that have screwed up big time in our lives, like, very forgiving God. And
Hmm.
that's the amazing thing about it. Like, some of the things I don't know if I can ever forgive myself. Like I know that, uh, Jesus died for us to wash away our sins. And it's crazy. Like I've never really talked about any of this stuff like this before. So, um, dude, it's cool just chatting with you, man. I
Yeah.
just, and you really helped me a lot in opening up to this, because like I told you, that phone call that we had but a few weeks ago, like it's hard to go into the church scene and hear a guy that, he's been to Bible school and a pastor for 40 years. It's hard to resonate with those folks and be like, you haven't seen the stuff that I've seen. Like,
Yeah.
how are you still faithful? And then once I got on the phone with you, I was like, man, like I can resonate with this dude. Like, and you made it a whole lot easier for me to be like, holy fuck, I'm just being stubborn, and I'm refusing to have faith because I want to fight back so hard. because I want to be in that mentality of like, oh, I've seen all this horrible shit. Like there's all this
Yeah,
horrible shit in the world. So you helped me a lot with that. That and talking to Taylor Kavanaugh, he was another one that I talked to, and
he's a good
just
dude.
super good dude. Yeah.
Yeah, good dude for sure. Well, and I think from my perspective, man, thank you for the kind words. And I think for me, like I don't have all the answers. You know, came back a few years ago to Christ, and I approached it with humility versus where I was raised more in a legalistic type environment where I saw God as the angry father and I was never going to make it to heaven because I couldn't hold the line. And now I see it as try to do my best. And if I screw up, I still struggle with certain things in my life and I ask for forgiveness, but I still feel guilty. I carry some confliction in areas, but I know Jesus loves me and that, you know, yeah, I'm not perfect and I'm gonna screw up and I'm gonna sin. I mean, I trust me, dude. Like I still have to watch my anger. I'm much better with it, but it's still there. And you know, it's so
Yeah.
I don't always represent the Lord in the best ways, but where it's helped me the most is parenting. Like it's made me like I got the best compliment from so I've been divorced twice. I have a 16-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old little boy. And my daughter's from my first marriage when I was a cop. And she texted I saw my daughter, I don't see her a lot anymore, unfortunately, but she texted me and she goes, "You know, you are so much better with, Josie now since you got divorced from my son's mom than you were before." She's like, "You're so much better and more patient with her." And that's all God, man. It's all
Yeah.
me being more humble and trying to approach parenting with a different, you know, a
That's
different
awesome.
mentality. Thanks, man. It's hard because I miss her. I mean, we live in the same town, so I go try to eat with her and see her and stuff. But it's I think that's what God wants from us, man. Is like He can't force us to love Him. He can't force us to worship Him, but He wants us to just say, take that pride, man, and set it aside and say, hey, it's okay to be humble. It's okay to not put yourself first in everything you do, but put me into it. And then those blessings and you mentioned the doors, man, like they're I know for me in my life, they're he's cracking it and I'm just kicking it in like, okay, I'm going. Like I see that light, I'm gonna go. Cause I hear people say all the time, like, well, man, you work too much and you know, you do a lot. I'm like, dude, I love this, man. This is my purpose. I'm not slowing down. I'm all gas. Like I am gonna keep doing it, you know.
Dude,
And
that's the thing when it's your purpose that's been given to you, man. It's like the drive is there. Like
yeah.
you're still gonna have tough days, man. You're still gonna have the struggles. And that's that like spiritual warfare that you always talk
Mm-hmm.
about, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
because you are trying to get the word out there and trying to help people. So that battle is always gonna be there where, you know, Satan or whatever you want to call it is gonna try to stop you in your purpose.
Yeah. Well, and he uses shame and he uses insecurity and there's a lot of things, but you know, ultimately, and for all you watching, Christ won. He's already won. There's nothing Satan can do. He can mess with you, but Christ won. When he comes back, he's coming back with a sword, and that's it. You know, it's it's over. I mean, he is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, is the Lion of Judah, and no matter how strong the enemy appears, there's nothing he can do about it. Christ is King. You know, so well, Gabe, as we're wrapping up, man, I want to lighten it up real quick. I gotta ask you this. I've been holding this one for for the end of the episode because we both like the same bands, and I live in a town that hates metal because they're just confused, and
What?
they
The whole
idolize it.
town?
Well, dude, like Nashville, dude. When I was in high school, there was a big metal scene here, and one of my clients is in a pretty well-known metal band, and he keeps telling me that metal's making a comeback in Nashville. But dude, I don't know. They idolize some straight up clowns around here. But I gotta ask you this, dude. What's your favorite metal band?
Oh, dude.
If you had to pick one, who would you go with? Like who would you listen to most of the time?
Man, for a long time, like especially in the military, Lamb of God was one of the big
Yes.
ones.
Yeah,
But Pantera, dude, like
there
growing
you
up,
go.
just listening to Pantera was so many of their songs, like bring back memories of, you know, the good times with the homies and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, probably if I had to pick one, it's probably Pantera, dude.
Good man. What album was your favorite?
Man, they're all freaking good.
Yeah.
I don't have the album names. What's the one with oh man, now I'm drawing a blank. The
Do you know a song?
it's like Fist
Oh,
Head.
oh, that's Vulgar Display
Oh
Power. Yeah, that's Vulgar Display
yeah.
Power. That's their second album.
I'm so horrible at remembering
No, you're
albums
good.
and
I
all
put
that,
you on the
dude. I
spot,
just
dude. I
listen
put you on the
to
spot. I don't get to
but
ask this type of stuff, man.
but yeah,
Yeah.
one of my buddy that actually just got out of prison. Like he had this was it 1970 Chevelle? But dude, that was the only CD that we had in all
Nice.
the time. Like
That's
just
awesome.
cruising around town
Yeah.
playing that album.
That's the album with Walk on it, which is probably their most
Yeah, yeah,
famous song.
walk.
And
Yep.
dude, you know what, man? I can't stand that song. It's so played
What?
out. Nah, dude, it's so played out,
Just
man.
because it's popular?
I mean, it was a Carl's Jr. commercial. They used it.
What?
Yeah,
No
dude.
shit.
There's some great like This Love is on that album. That song is badass. Fucking
Yeah.
Hostel's on that album. Hollow is a great song, but my first album I bought of theirs was Far Beyond Driven with I'm Broken and 5 Minutes Alone.
Oh, yeah,
That
dude.
that song made me a metalhead like instantaneously. I was like, dude, these guys are
Yeah.
badass. We wore that shit out in high school, man. But and I love Zach Wild. He's my man crush. You know, he's playing with Pantera right now. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, man.
That's badass.
I saw them last May in Nissan Stadium. It was
No
fun.
kidding.
Yeah, it was fun. But dude, I had a Pantera stroller for my son when he was a baby. But yeah,
Nice.
yeah, dude, I love metal. But well, man, as we're kind of wrapping up, dude, I want to ask you, do you have like a favorite? We're gonna go back to Jesus real quick. A scripture that you want to share, or like a motto or a creed or something that's kind of got you through the hard times in life?
So probably not scripture because I'm so new into reading all this stuff, but um, so actually going back to metal, this
There we go.
band Hatebreed, they
Yeah, there
had
we go.
they had a song that was the lyrics were, "If you don't live for something, you will die for nothing." I actually got it tattooed
Oh,
on
dude,
my
that's sick,
forearms.
man.
So live for
Nice.
something, die for nothing.
Oh, we got to use that in
Um,
one of your reels.
and that is like always been because I got it tattooed shortly after I tried to take my own life. And having that person, that purpose, if you don't have a purpose in life, right, you have to live for something. There's something that we've all been put here for, regardless of wherever somebody is in their mental state right now, where they just feel like shit's fucking crashing down around them. Like there is a purpose. And if you don't live for that purpose, man, like eh, your whole point, your life was just pointless. So live for something or you'll die for nothing. That's always been my thing.
I think that song's called "Live for This."
Live
I
for
know
this.
I know
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
song. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna find it, so when I make some clips, I'm gonna use it. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hey, Breed's cool, man. I know them well. And it's so weird, dude, because they're so liberal and they're like so
Right?
hard. It's like, really,
Yeah. It's
man? Lamb of
totally
God's the same
backwards.
way. Yeah, Lamb of God's the same way.
Yeah.
Um, well, I know we talked a couple weeks ago, and so I got you on the scripture tonight. I tried to dig up one that I thought would relate to your story, and this is actually the book of the Bible that I recommended to you because for you guys watching, I think Proverbs is the book of life. Even if you're not a Christian and you don't want to dive into the faith component, Proverbs, anything you go through in life, you're going to read about it in Proverbs, especially relationships with women, dude. So we were
Right.
talking about
Oh
that
yeah.
earlier. But so
Yeah.
I'm gonna read Proverbs 24:16.
Oh, dude, I was reading that
No
today.
way, dude. Are you
Dude,
serious?
I literally have it highlighted right here.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. That's
Wow. What the
awesome. I had a guy on last week. I had Dan on, and I asked him his favorite verse, and it was in Jeremiah, and I had like the
I
verse
saw
after,
that,
man. I was
dude.
like, yeah, you were on the live. Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
yeah. Isn't that
Hell
weird?
yeah.
Well, you want to read it, dude? You want me to?
Yeah, I'll read it.
All right, nice.
So just 16.
Whatever, man, go for it. Whatever you want. I just had that one written down, but
Yeah. So for a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again, but the wicked shall fall by calamity. Dude, like I was reading that this morning
that's
and
awesome.
it hit me so hard. And I actually posted that on my Instagram story.
Oh, you
Very
did? I missed
similar.
it. Nice.
It was the one right after it's actually Proverbs 24:17 that I put in the story, but
Nice.
it all relates. Like, dude, none of us are perfect. We are going to fall. We're going to make mistakes. It's whether you can pick yourself back up again. And like for me right now, man, I'm just like letting God take the wheel, letting
Mhm.
Jesus take the wheel, as they say, right? Like,
Yeah. That's what they say in Nashville there, buddy.
yeah,
No,
I love that.
I dude, and that's the thing, is like, and that scripture nails it. I mean, God's always gonna be with you, and he's there to pick you up, and if you stray, he's gonna pull you back if you seek him out.
Yeah,
Gotta
exactly.
you gotta put him first, and it's not about being perfect, but you gotta put him first, and just come back to him. If you stray, he's right there waiting, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Gabe, this has been awesome, dude. Thank you so much
Hell
for
yeah.
having the
No, thank
courage
you,
to.
man.
I guess I need to come out to Nevada. Tool's talking about playing at the
Well, first you
Sphere.
got to call it Nevada because
My
that's how it's
bad.
pronounced.
My bad, dude. I've
Dude,
only been
really?
there once, man. So
Dude, you said Tool's going to be at the Sphere?
they're talking
Uh,
about there's talks. They're going to be the, what do you call it, the residency or whatever, when a
right.
band, because
Oh,
Metallica, I think
dude.
Metallica's there right now, but I've seen Tool once, and they're amazing live.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pump out if they depends on how much
Oh,
the
that'd be
tickets are.
badass.
Yeah, dude, for
Especially in
sure.
the Sphere. Like, you remember their videos, like how crazy their music
Yeah,
videos were?
yeah. We
Like, they
saw
had all
the
that stuff going on.
yeah. We flew out. My girlfriend and I flew out last year for her birthday and saw the Eagles. And I
Nice.
think I was the youngest guy there, but it was cool. Bunch of geriatrics, but it was cool though. But yeah,
Nice.
that'd be really sick to see
Hell
Tool
yeah.
there.
Yeah, man. Just let me know if you're cruising up this way.
Yeah, for sure,
Freaking
dude.
hang out for sure. Hit the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah,
Maybe go
man.
hit the range.
Yeah, you'd have to show me some stuff. I have not been on a range in a long time, dude.
We'll get you schooled up.
There we go. So as we're closing, man, let our viewers know how to find you so they can learn more about you, man.
Yeah, so we've got our Instagram, which is precision_resilience. And then we've got the website, precision-resilience.com. And most recently, uh, put the website out for its resilientlivesfoundation.org, where folks can go on there and see what we're doing. And then, nonprofits, pretty much we're looking for donations, getting grants, those kind of things to get these things up and running and be able to support veterans and first responders in whatever it is that they need, whether they want to do jujitsu or freaking come in and crush a workout, get some, time to be able to talk about the things that we don't want to talk about typically.
Yeah. It's all, and I'll put in the notes here on this episode, like how to get in touch with you. I'll put your website and all that good stuff so people can learn more about you.
Cool. And then I've also got the it's resilient.precision or precision.resilience.fitness, where I actually do one-on-one training, physical fitness training. So for folks that maybe want to get into law enforcement or are in law enforcement, one thing I've like learned about my body along the way was how to keep things mobile and stay strong and still be fast when you need to be. And so trying to get guys and gals dialed in on that.
Awesome, man. We'll put that all there on in the notes
Right
too for
on.
people to find you. Well, if you're watching tonight, please share this episode with someone, especially someone that is in law enforcement or that is a veteran, because more people need to hear how important mental health is and how important it is to share your story. And I want to give Freedom Bear Coffee a shout out tonight. They've been fueling me through this episode. They are a veteran owned company and they support veterans and they support mental health. Go check them out at freedombearcoffee.com. Gabe, I'm going to close this out with a prayer, man. Is there anything you want to add before we finish tonight?
Nah, I think I'm good. I feel like I've been talking forever.
No, you're good, man. It's powerful, man. It's powerful. It needs to be shared, and I think it's
I
great that
appreciate it.
you're courageous enough to share it with everybody.
Thank you.
All right, you ready to bow?
Yes,
Here
sir.
we go. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this episode. Thank you for Gabe, and also just thank you for the opportunity to share his story and to reach those out there that need to hear more about resilience. They need to hear more about your love, Lord, and how you're never going to leave or forsake us. I pray that you'll bless Gabe and his mission, and as he inspires people and continues to just get the word out to help people and to grow in his faith and to inspire others and spread your gospel. I pray you'll bless him and his family. And I pray that you just give us peace, Lord. You give us power and you give us purpose as we both continue to push forward and just be men of God, men of you, Father, and men that are courageous and that want to help others and be of service, to put our pride aside and to just be more humble and be more open and to help others, Lord. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for all your many blessings, and I pray this reaches all those out there that need to hear it. It's in your mighty name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks for checking out the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. Be sure to hit that bell at the bottom, subscribe to the channel. New episodes drop every Wednesday and every Thursday. I'm here on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and on Apple Podcast. Gabe, this has been a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate your time tonight, brother.
Hell yeah. Thank you, man. This is awesome.
We're going to stay in touch. And hey, you reach out
Oh,
anytime you need
yeah.
anything, dude. Holler at me, okay?
I appreciate that, brother. Same goes to you.
Much love, man. God bless.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right, you too, man.